There is an aircraft in the United States Air Force that was designed not to avoid getting hit, but to survive it. It sits inside 1,200 pounds of titanium armor. Its fuel tanks seal themselves when punctured. Its flight controls work with cables and pulleys when every computer and hydraulic line has been destroyed. Its cannon fires 65 rounds per second and produces more recoil than one of its own engines. The Air Force has tried to retire it for over 20 years. Congress keeps saying no. And over Iran in 2026, a missile struck one of these aircraft during a rescue mission deep inside enemy territory. The pilot kept fighting. The aircraft kept flying. And only after deciding the jet could not safely land did the pilot eject over Kuwait. This is the A-10 Warthog, and this is why it refuses to die. The A-10 was born from a brutal lesson of the Vietnam War. Low-altitude, close air support aircraft get hit. Every fighter since has been designed to avoid fire through speed, altitude, or stealth. Fairchild Republic's engineers asked a different question. What if the aircraft simply absorbed it? The answer sits around the cockpit, a tub of titanium alloy weighing 1,200 pounds, roughly 6% of the aircraft's empty weight. It is not a single piece. It is multiple formed titanium plates secured with over 1,100 high-strength bolts. The thickness varies from 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches, distributed based on probability studies of where ground fire is most likely to strike, thickest on the bottom and sides, thinner where attacks are statistically unlikely. Every interior surface exposed to the pilot is lined with multi-layer nylon spall shields to catch the razor-sharp titanium fragments that spray inward when a round hits the exterior. The front windscreen is ballistic glass rated to stop 50 caliber armor-piercing rounds. The bathtub withstands direct hits from 23mm anti-aircraft rounds, the primary caliber used by Soviet and Iranian air defense guns. Surrounding this armored cockpit is a fuel system designed to be shot full of holes and keep working. Self-sealing fuel bladders use layered rubber construction with a sealant material that swells when exposed to jet fuel, plugging bullet holes within seconds. Lining every tank is reticulated polyurethane foam, an open cell structure that divides the gas space above the fuel into thousands of tiny compartments, none large enough to support combustion. If every main tank is destroyed, reserve tanks carry enough fuel for 230 miles of flight. Behind all of this sits the engineering feature that no other modern fighter has. Dual independent hydraulic systems power the flight controls, but when both fail, a mechanical manual reversion system of physical cables and pulleys routed inside the titanium bathtub takes over. On April 7, 2003, a 28-year-old pilot named Kim Campbell found out whether any of this engineering actually worked. A surface-to-air missile hit her A-10 over Baghdad. Both hydraulic gauges dropped to zero. The jet rolled violently and pointed toward the ground over the center of the city. She had one option left, a system of cranks and cables inside the titanium bathtub that had only been used 3 times before in A-10 history. 2 of those times, the aircraft was destroyed. Campbell engaged manual reversion. The jet responded. Her wingman reported hundreds of shrapnel holes and a football-sized hole in the horizontal stabilizer. She flew the A-10 manually for 1 hour and 300 miles back to Kuwait. No speed brakes, no nose wheel steering. She landed using trim tabs driven by cables and pulleys, the same basic technology used in World War II aircraft. She was back in the cockpit the next day. The A-10 is designed and combat-proven to fly with one engine destroyed, one vertical stabilizer missing, one elevator gone, and half a wing shot away. The two engines are mounted high on the rear fuselage for 5 specific reasons. Height above the ground prevents debris ingestion. A 6-to-1 bypass ratio dilutes hot exhaust with cool air, reducing the infrared signature. The wings partially shield the engines from upward traveling projectiles. Wide spacing ensures damage to one engine cannot affect the other, and the high mounting allows ground crews to rearm the aircraft while engines are still running. These are survivability systems, all chosen to keep the airplane flying. Every one of these survivability systems exists because of the weapon mounted in the aircraft's nose. A weapon so powerful that the airplane was not designed and then fitted with a gun. The gun was designed first, and the airplane was built around it. The GAU-8 Avenger is a 7-barrel Gatling cannon chambered in 30 millimeters. It fires 3,900 rounds per minute, 65 rounds per second. Muzzle velocity is 3,324 feet per second, nearly Mach 3. The complete weapon system with full ammunition weighs 4,029 pounds, roughly 16% of the aircraft's empty weight. The gun is 19 feet long, about the length of a Volkswagen Beetle. When it is removed for maintenance, a jack must be placed under the tail to keep the aircraft from tipping backward. The gun produces 10,000 pounds of recoil force. Each engine produces 9,065 pounds of thrust. The cannon's recoil exceeds one engine's output. It is mounted slightly to the left of center, so the firing barrel sits precisely on the aircraft's center line, preventing the recoil from yawing the nose. Engine igniters automatically activate when the trigger is pulled, because the gun's oxygen-free exhaust was causing engine flameouts during early testing. The primary round is the PGU-14B, a depleted uranium armor-piercing incendiary projectile. Depleted uranium is 1.67 times denser than lead. When the penetrator strikes armor, extreme heating creates micro cracks through a phenomenon called adiabatic shear banding. The mushroomed material fractures and sheds in thin layers, continuously exposing a fresh, sharp tip. The penetrator sharpens itself as it pushes through. Upon reaching the vehicle interior, uranium fragments spontaneously combust in air through pyrophoric ignition, setting fire to ammunition, fuel, and hydraulic fluid. The incendiary effect comes from the physics of the material, not a chemical additive. At 65 rounds per second, individual shots occur every 15 milliseconds. The human ear resolves separate sounds, only down to about 40 to 50 milliseconds. The gun fires 3 times faster than human hearing can distinguish, creating the famous BRT. And because rounds travel at nearly Mach 3, they arrive 2.4 seconds before the firing sound reaches the target. You are hit before you hear anything. This is the aircraft the Air Force has tried to retire for over 20 years. This is the aircraft Congress keeps saving. In February 2026, while the Air Force was proposing to send all 162 remaining A-10 aircraft to the boneyard, the United States went to war with Iran, and the Warthog went back to work. During Operation Epic Fury, A-10 aircraft hunted Iranian fast attack boats in the Strait of Hormuz, using the GAU-8 cannon, Maverick missiles, and laser-guided rockets. They served as counter-drone platforms, carrying Sidewinder missiles to engage Iranian one-way attack drones. They flew daily combat sorties from late February through April 2026. Then came the mission that proved everything. On April 3, 2026, An F-15E Strike Eagle with call sign Dude 44 was shot down 200 miles inside Iran. Both crew members ejected into the Zagros Mountains. A-10 aircraft flew the Sandy Combat Search and Rescue Escort mission, a role inherited from the Vietnam-era A-1 Sky Raider. The Sandy pilot flies ahead of rescue helicopters, suppresses enemy fire, locates the survivor by radio, and escorts the helicopters in and out. The A-10 is uniquely suited because it can fly slow enough to match helicopter speed, carry heavy weapons for suppressive fire, loiter for hours overhead, and absorb hits meant for the rescue force. During this Sandy mission deep inside Iranian airspace, a missile struck one of the A-10 aircraft. The pilot kept fighting. After exiting the battle space, the pilot concluded the aircraft could not be safely landed and ejected over Kuwait. The pilot was rescued safely. Only one A-10 was lost in 39 days of war. The pilot survived because the aircraft gave enough flying time to escape the threat zone before the damage became terminal. That is exactly what its engineers designed it to do 50 years ago. The A-10 has fought in every American conflict since 1991. In Desert Storm, it flew 8,100 sorties, destroyed 987 tanks, and achieved a 95.7% mission-capable rate. Then, Kosovo, Afghanistan, Iraq, ISIS, Syria in 2024, Iran in 2026. Total airframe combat losses across all wars were 7 aircraft, lost over 5 decades while under fire from everything from small arms to surface-to-air missiles. The Air Force wants to retire the A-10 to fund F-35s and AI combat drones. But the F-35 costs $44,000 per flight hour versus $19,000 for the A-10. The F-35 carries 182 cannon rounds versus 1,174. The F-35 loiters 20 to 30 minutes versus nearly 2 hours. And the F-35 has no titanium bathtub, no manual reversion cables, and no ability to absorb a missile and keep flying. The A-10C upgrade turned the Cold War cockpit into a precision strike platform with sniper targeting pods, GPS-guided bombs, laser-guided rockets, and helmet-mounted targeting that lets pilots designate targets by looking at them. New wings rated for 10,000 flight hours could extend service life to 2040. Congress mandated a minimum of 103 aircraft through September 2026. The aircraft they keep trying to kill keeps getting upgraded because nothing replaces what it does at 300 feet and 400 miles per hour. For 50 years, the A-10 has answered the same question the same way. What happens when this aircraft gets hit? It keeps flying. Over Baghdad in 2003, Kim Campbell proved it with cranks and cables. Over Iran in 2026, another pilot proved it with a missile hole in the fuselage and enough time to reach friendly airspace. The engineering has not changed. The answer has not changed. The Warthog refuses to die. 1,200 pounds of titanium, self-sealing fuel tanks, cables and pulleys inside the armor, a cannon that fires faster than human ears can hear. The Air Force keeps trying to retire it. The battlefield keeps proving them wrong. The Warthog flies on.